Hello, I am Mac, at least for a day, and everything is going to be okay. We just got some exciting news about the No Man's Sky 4.0 update. We've known for a little while that the next big update was going to be 4.0. All we really knew for sure was that it was going to introduce the Nintendo Switch version of No Man's Sky. And something Sean Murray tweeted recently made it sound like there wasn't going to be any other new features. They said something like the team has been working really hard on the Nintendo Switch release, and it's like taken all of our focus or something like that. So it sounded like that was the only thing they'd been working on, was the Switch release. But we just got a article released by Eurogamer with an interview with Sean Murray where he tells some new things that are coming with the update. It's not exactly a content update. There's not like really any new features being added, but there is definitely some changes to the game that are fairly significant. Although some of it you might be able to consider features, but I'll just go ahead and read what the article says. It says 4.0 features lots of streamlining in terms of the tutorial, when you unlock certain things, and what's available to you. All intended to fit No Man's Sky's 6 years of updates into a more cohesive whole. That streamlining will also extend to the game's inventory system, which in turn has enabled Hello Games to massively increase what is effectively the level cap, meaning bigger inventories and the opportunity to level up ships and weapons further than was possible before. So, oh no! I didn't know this was an extreme sentinel planet. I'm gonna have to fly away. So I didn't realize that. Oh darn it! What was I? Stupid sentinels interrupting me. I was saying. Oh, I forgot. Now we have to deal with flying sentinels if you fight them in space and stuff. I'm gonna go to space and run from them. Anyway, so they've changed the tutorial many times. This isn't the first time uh, they've changed the tutorial. It seems like I don't know how many times they've changed the tutorial. They definitely did in the No Man's Sky Next update, and every now and then they'll add something to change the tutorial a little bit. Sounds like they're kind of overhauling the tutorial. They said in order to fit with the 6 years of updates. Okay, I was able to escape from that. So that's something they've done before. Is they'll change the tutorial so that it includes new things that have been added. Like I said, in the next update, they had to add in using the refiner to craft things, because that was when they introduced the whole new crafting system where you have to refine materials in the refiner instead of just crafting things in your inventory. Oops. I was just about to stop and I encountered this apparently. I was also trying to scan. Oh cool, this is a lush planet. Let's go here instead of that dumb volcano planet. So yeah, in the No Man's Sky Next update, which was 2.0, they added in the whole refiner system and a bunch of other stuff. So they had to change the tutorial so it included all of that. And then there's been a few other times where they did that. By the sound of this, it sounds like they're going to update the tutorial even more. We've certainly gotten a lot more features since the last time they updated the tutorial. So yeah, that'll be good. Let's go ahead and get on to the more important part. Additionally, 4.0 introduces No Man's Sky's first new game modes since the arrival of Creative and Survival in 2016's Foundation update. When we originally launched, explains Murray, we made the game a little bit more difficult and more grindy perhaps. because we didn't have the breadth of content we do now. But now people come in and they want to see a mech, they want to see the story, they want to go to the Nexus and things like that. And so we wanted to find that right balance for new players. They've already done some of this stuff before, like they've introduced summoning the Nexus into the tutorial, I think, and not just a part of the main story, the Atlas Rises story, so that you can have the Nexus earlier on. So that's kind of stuff that they've done before. Nothing that he says here is really new per se. Well, the mech. Yeah, the mech definitely is not a part of the tutorial. So if they introduce using the mech suit in the tutorial, that would be pretty cool. That's something they improved very recently, was they finally made the mech suit more useful. It now has a lot more combat capability, like a flamethrower, and it now can be basically programmed to be something that fights alongside you instead of just being a suit that you can fight inside of. So you can call it and it will just fight with you instead of you needing to use it, be inside of it. So it sounds like that's going to be a part of the tutorial now, is getting the mech suit, which is really cool. And I guess they're going to integrate the story into the tutorial even more. I mean, it already kind of does. The tutorial already kind of leads you into the Atlas Rises storyline, but I guess they're making some changes to make it do that even more, I guess. And then he says, a part of that goal, 4.0 adds a new relaxed mode, playable with either a fresh save or an existing save, which Murray calls a very fun version of No Man's Sky, where the focus is on exploration and less on just surviving and grinding, where it's easier to see the 6 years of content that's there. This, he says, works well for first-time players, but I think it's also a common request from people who might have longer playthroughs, who just want a game where they kick back. On top of that, among its various other revisions, 4.0 brings an overhauled survival mode and tools for custom games. Survival is currently, I think, at its strongest in the few hours as a game mode, Murray explains. So we've made it a much more challenging, more unique experience. Custom games, meanwhile, will enable players to create bespoke sessions that better fit their needs at any given time, featuring options to just adjust everything, from controls to difficulty to how a lot of those sorts of fundamentals work in terms of pacing of the game, which opens up a whole bunch of different ways to play the game that weren't there before. So there's a lot to unpack there. So we're basically getting at least one new game mode called Relaxed Mode, which I'm really excited about. And I'm guessing that's kind of in between creative mode and normal mode. It's less grindy, so maybe resources are more plentiful, or basically you get more resources when you mine them, or maybe the requirement costs to craft and build things is lower, I'm guessing. I'm also guessing there'll probably still be death in that mode, but maybe you won't have to go get your grave. In normal mode, if you die, all of your items are in a grave and you have to go back to where you died to retrieve them. And then in survival mode, you just lose all your items from whatever your main inventory is when you die. And I'm guessing in relaxed mode, if you die, you just don't lose any items. But like, I'm guessing it won't be, obviously it's got to be different than creative mode, so it's not going to be that everything's completely free. You're still going to need to get resources, but it'll be a lot cheaper to do things, and you won't have to grind nearly as much. Not sure how money will be. Maybe things will be cheaper. or it'll just be way easier to get money. I don't know, but it basically sounds like basically an easy mode. Like we've had normal mode. This is which is like normal mode, and survival mode, which is like hard mode. Creative mode isn't exactly easy mode. It's like quite literally creative mode, like creative mode in Minecraft is, where you can craft and do anything without any cost. But relaxed mode sounds like it's basically going to be an easy mode. And they also said that it kind of goes along well with the new tutorial, which will, by the sound of it, basically introduce all of the new features that we've gotten over the past 6 years. And that, of course, goes along well with the Switch release. They're going to have a whole lot of new players, and basically Hello Games seems to want to curate the experience of the Switch players by giving them a better tutorial and the option to play an easier mode than normal mode. And then, of course, it goes on to say that survival mode is basically becoming harder, which I think is really good. I've been around since No Man's Sky first came out, so I know that in the beginning, when survival mode was first added, in the first big update after the release of the game, survival mode was very, very hard. It was a lot harder than it is now. Like basically you would just die constantly trying to get to your ship in those days. They've made it a lot easier, and unfortunately, I've complained about this a lot, that survival mode feels almost completely the same as normal mode. Sean here actually addresses that. He says that survival is at its strongest in the first few hours of the game mode. I would agree with that. You'll only really notice that you're in survival mode for the first few hours because it's really hard to get started, to get enough resources to get going and everything. But after a few hours of play, after you get enough upgrades and enough money and resources built up, it's pretty much exactly the same as normal mode. They've done a few things over the years to make survival mode a little more challenging, although I haven't liked the changes. Like something recently they did is they made all technology you buy in space stations cost a lot more nanites. I didn't like that. They're like well over double the cost that they are in survival mode or normal mode. I didn't like that change. I hope that's not what they're referring to. I hope they're not just going to increase the cost of everything across survival mode and just make it, because that just makes it more grindy. I hope they're going to concentrate on challenging things like the difficulty of battles with sentinels and predators and space pirates. I hope they'll concentrate on that. Like, I want to say to Hello Games right now, like, please don't just make it more grindy. Making survival mode more grindy, which is things that they've done in the past, does not make it more fun. Having to pay a lot more for things doesn't make survival more enjoyable. Making battle more challenging and making it harder to survive in harsh environments and stuff, that is a lot better than just making things cost more. So yeah, hopefully that's the direction that they're going to go in with making survival mode tougher. But really cool thing is they seem to make it sound like you can customize games. Like you're going to be able to customize and change the difficulty, and that would be really surprising because in the past there's been kind of a great divide between normal mode, survival mode, etc. Again, this is going back to the fact that I've been around all this time. I remember in the first era when it was just survival mode and normal mode, and creative mode. But something I discovered, and I did a video, this is one of the earlier videos on my channel, I did a video where I discovered that planets in normal mode and survival mode were different. Like in this one video, I went to a planet that I had already visited in normal mode, and on Survival mode, it was a completely different planet. So there was actually separate universes for normal mode and survival mode that had completely different planets, because like there were more extreme planets in survival mode. They basically used a different seed number in order to seed the normal mode and survival mode universes separately. So they had different planets, higher number of extreme planets and extreme sentinel planets in survival mode, etc. They got rid of that in the next update. So they redid all the planets in the next update, and that was the last time that they completely redid planets. They did add some new types of planets later on, but the last time they completely regenerated the entire universe and all the planets was the No Man's Sky Next update. And at that point, since they were adding multiplayer, they had to make it so that all the planets were the same in all game modes. But despite that, a person who's in normal mode can't visit a friend who's playing survival mode. So you can only have the same mode as the other people in your multiplayer session. Um, I don't know if I think it's the same with ambient multiplayer. Like you can only see other players if they're in the same game mode as you. Even when they added cross play, it's now possible to see a player who's playing on Xbox or see a player who's playing on PlayStation, or PC. I'm on PlayStation, um, but they would always be in the same game mode difficulty as you. Um, but so that would be very strange. He makes it sound like we'll be able to just adjust the difficulty. Like I could just go to my settings right now, and maybe there would be a difficulty setting. I could just switch to creative mode. I don't think they'll. It just seems really unlikely that that's going to be the case. He's talking about it that you can. Um, yeah, it says custom. Oh, custom games. Meanwhile, will enable players to create bespoke sessions that better fit their needs at any given time, featuring options to adjust everything from controls to difficulty and how a lot of those sort of fundamentals work in terms of pacing of the game. So he that makes it sound like in a custom game. I don't know if a custom game will be separate from, like, if custom game is a separate game mode. I can't imagine that they would just let you change the difficulty at any time. I mean, I know that that's in other games. Other games, that's the case. You can just change the difficulty mode any time. But in No Man's Sky, I mean, that would kind of let you cheat, I guess, because you could switch to creative mode. Like on survival mode, if things are too difficult, you could switch to creative mode, build like a huge farm at your base for free, so that you would have all of the materials and stuff that you need, and then switch back to survival mode. That would be kind of cheating, and that's a problem because we have um, we have trophies that you only get if you travel to the center of the universe on survival mode, or travel to the center of the universe in permadeath mode. Um, and if we could switch to creative mode and just have free fuel and everything and free ships, that would be cheating. So I'm guessing custom games will be kind of a separate thing. That way it will prevent you from like disqualifying yourself from getting those trophies. Um, that's why I said maybe custom game will be a separate game mode that lets you change the difficulty, but you can't get the survival or and permadeath trophies or something. I don't know. And I don't know how it's going to work with multiplayer. Like if anybody can just change their game difficulty, probably what they'll do is you still have to be on the same difficulty in order to play in multiplayer. So if you try to jump into someone's game, you'll still be forced to switch to whatever difficulty they're playing in currently. Um, Otherwise, I don't know how it would work, because like the Sentinels would be more difficult to fight, and it wouldn't be the same for both of you. I think you'd always have to be in the same mode for multiplayer. But I guess it would be possible if you're playing in single player to adjust the difficulty on the fly. But I mean, Hello Games has been able to do more difficult design engineering stuff like VR and whatnot. I could definitely believe that they could find a way to make it work. So that's all of that, and then um, it's the article is a Eurogamer article. I'll link it in the description so you can go to it if you want to. Um, Let me read a little bit more. It says 4.0 arrives alongside No Man's Sky's Switch port, an endeavor that was met with both delight and, given the relative technical limitations of Nintendo's console, a certain degree of incredulity among fans when it was announced earlier this year. Murray says he can understand that skepticism, admitting, "I do agree, it certainly on the face of it seems like madness. And I had that reaction myself, to be honest." What? How did you react to something that you planned on doing? I don't get it. But anyway, I'm not gonna read any more of that. Um, but the one more thing we need to talk about is when this update is going to be. We know that this Friday, October 7th, is when the Switch version comes out. I don't know if that is when we're going to get the update that's going to add the relaxed mode and I guess the new tutorial system and being able to have custom games and whatnot. But it might. It'd be nice if that's when the update was for everyone was on Friday, but maybe we'll have to wait a few days after the Switch update. I don't know. We'll see. And Tuesdays and Thursdays are the most common update days. So I guess it's possible the update could actually be Thursday, but maybe they'll wait until Friday, right when the Switch update happens, to do the update. But we'll see. But anyway, that's about it. I personally, I will be starting a new relaxed mode game and trying that out. I want to see what the new tutorial is like and all that. So once the update comes out, I will be playing it and live streaming it on a new relaxed mode save, so that we can see what that mode is like. And we'll also, of course, see what the custom game thing is about. If it's something you can change your difficulty and whatnot on any save, or if it's only like special custom games you can change your difficulty. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, that does it. Let me know in the comments what you're excited about for this update. It is kind of a smaller major update. This isn't as big as other, like the 2.0 and the 3.0 updates were. That's probably why Sean did that tweet where he said that a lot of our focus has been on the Switch release, and so he was basically implying there's not going to be as much of an update, not much new content and such, basically to temper expectations. But it is good that we are getting something for this update besides just it being released on Switch. But anyway, that does it. I will see you all after the new 4.0 update. I've been Mac. Thank you for joining me for a day. And remember, everything's going to be okay.